And it's in there for a strike. Hold on, here comes Phil Nevin. Smiles and hugs. And Stassi is making his way out. And people start to realize what's happening, that Kurt Suzuki got the start, caught a strike. And he's getting a standing ovation. Wow, goosebumps here at the Oakland Coliseum. Everybody coming in.
Los Angeles Angels catcher Kurt Suzuki hanging it up after 16 years. You got a standing ovation from the 17 people at the Oakland Coliseum, including some Angels fans, and points to his what appears to be his wife and family. Baseball's really good at saying goodbye to people when they retire. I remember Jeter and Helton and all that. This is interesting to see. A daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, gambling, Thursday Night Football preview coming tonight. We have to do an NHL and NBA preview soon. We are 1 week away from the NHL dropping the puck on the 2022-23 season, and I got to say, idiots, wait till November. The first NHL game of the year will be during Thursday Night Football, but the Canadians don't. Yeah, that'll be fun. Totally going to pay attention to hockey during Thursday Night Football. 100%. Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, we'll get to the let's just start in the NFL. It's a football Thursday. Of course, we'll do a football Friday. Got Thursday Night Football bets and a bunch of other stuff coming up. Joe Burrow recently admitted in an interview with Colin Cowherd, I imagine Cowherd paid him to do the interview, perhaps not. He said, "I've never had any lasting effects from concussions. I've been hit and forgot the rest of the game before. That's happened a couple of times, but I've never had one where I have headaches for like a week." Oh, that's good. Blacking out is a thing that is healthy. You make all the rules you want to make the game as safe as you possibly can, but you have 300-pound linemen running 20 miles an hour trying to take your head off while you're standing still trying to ignore it and find receivers that are open. Part of what we signed up for. You're going to have head injuries. You're going to tear your ACL. You're going to break your arm. That's true. Tua Tagovailoa is being evaluated. It appears like he won't play this week after mostly as a response to outrage that he played in last week's Thursday Night Football game after getting concussed, and then in Thursday Night Football he got concussed again. So now I think the Dolphins are just like, I don't know what to do. And Mike McDaniel made a really good point. He's like, if I go against medical advice, if the medical advice is to play him, and I say, no, we're not going to play him, then how do I know when to play him? So now he's kind of pointing out that, like, as a coach, like, hey, I can't trust the fucking doctors either, dude. I don't know. Well, who's getting paid where? What are we doing? It's a good point. Mike McDaniel's a smart dude. Clearly a pothead. Some people just talk that way, but doesn't mean he's not a genius and a great football coach. The Dolphins, I think, are 3-1. One undefeated team remaining in the National Football League, and that, of course, is your Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, shouts to Philly. Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks, who I believe are 2-2 on the season now after falling to the Chiefs. Yes, they lost to the Chiefs. That's right. And Todd Bowles had an interesting quote. It wasn't a quote. He just said, preparation, the biggest thing is preparation and practice. You'll play how you practice with all the movement last week. I don't think we prepared as well as we should have, or as well as some people could have, but preparation will be key this week, essentially saying the hurricane screwed us up. Yeah, Todd. No one cares, dude. The body count expected to rise to the thousands, I'm told. In Florida. I saw that somewhere. I'm told as if they're texting me. No, I heard it's going to be more than 1,000 dead in Florida is what I hear on Twitter from people that I trust. Prisons and juvenile detention centers were not evacuated. Anyway, that's fun. That's not this show, though. In this show, Todd Bowles uses the hurricane, which may have killed 1,000 people or more, as an excuse for getting his ass wrecked by Patrick Mahomes and not being ready. Well, Brady files for divorce and doesn't practice on Wednesdays. So we watch this man's life unravel right in front of our eyes. It's actually really sad. What happened to Tiger Woods, we just woke up and his life was unraveled. and we didn't have to watch the car crash. But in this instance, we have to watch the car crash, and it legitimately makes me pretty effing sad, man. It makes me sad. I don't like it. Okay. Let's get into gambling. Let's get to gambling for Thursday Night Football. Actually, you know what? I forgot to check something. I forgot that college football games happen on Thursdays occasionally. And I think there's usually it's rare that the top 25 plays Thursday night games anymore is what it seems like to me. I think UCF played a game last night on a Wednesday, and that game was probably rescheduled as a result of the hurricane. I can't quite be sure. Let's see. No games on Thursday this week. That must be the NFL. Yeah, that's fascinating because we had SMU and UCF last night, and after falling down like 20-0, UCF wins 41-19. Yeah, that's about what happened. Then we have a bunch of games tomorrow, including a Big Ten game between Nebraska and Rutgers. Colorado State is winless. They've got a conference game. Houston and Memphis, they've got a conference game. UNLV and San Jose State, they've got a conference game. But nothing big going on Thursday or Friday for college football, which is fascinating. We'll get into our college football. I think we just plant the seeds right now. What am I watching? TCU in Kansas. Is College Game Day in Kansas? Where is College Game Day this week? Week 4, Florida, Tennessee. Last week was Clemson. Week 6 destination. It's going to Lawrence, Kansas. Hurrah! Good for Kansas. It's so cool when a school doesn't care about a sport and then they're good at that sport accidentally. It's just so much fun. They're playing with house money because they don't give a shit. When Penn State's good at basketball because they're normally garbage and then they're good and you're like, oh my God, this is neat. That's really interesting that College Game Day is going there, and those fans care about it, and that's where they deserve to go. But the most important game of the week and one of the most important regular season games of the year is this week. It's Utah and UCLA. That's important because they're the only two teams in the Pac-12 that could do anything this year remaining with their schedule because they've beaten everybody. I guess like Oregon can sneak in here or there or whatever. But Utah and UCLA is an enormously important game. Just crazily important. Guess we could preview that. Chip Kelly. Shouts to Chip Kelly, huh? Got the boys rolling again. Notre Dame and BYU, the religious schools, are playing in Vegas, which we'll have plenty of time to make fun of that. Coming up tomorrow. Let's get into Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football tonight. Do any of you know who it is? Does anybody know who it is? Does anybody know who it is? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? It's the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos, which we're going to call this the Uh-Oh Bowl. So, the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson because they believe that they were a quarterback away. Most people would agree with them. They have a bunch of good receivers, one of which got hurt for the year, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They have Noah Fant. They've got a reasonable offensive line. They have this guy from Utah, Garrett Bowles, who is a left tackle, I believe. Maybe he's a right tackle. He's a big tackle. He's like the king of holding. He gets called for holding. I watched a game a couple of years ago where he got called. I shit you not. I think 3 out of 4 plays. This dude gets so many penalties, it's bananas. When he doesn't cheat, he's pretty good. But when he does cheat and gets away with it, he's super good. But he also sucks because he gets caught always. It's really fun. If you're a lineman person, just watch this lineman. He gets caught all the time. The Colts are a disaster because they have been notable cheapskates when it comes to going after these quarterbacks. They don't ever push the chips all in. The Rams, of course, traded their starting quarterback, 2 first-round picks, and a third-round pick for Matthew Stafford. The Colts were apparently interested, but they didn't even offer a first-round pick, which other teams, I believe Washington and Carolina, also offered a first-round pick. In fact, Matthew Stafford was as good as going to Carolina, but then he begged to go to the Rams, and then that made the Rams up their offer. But the Colts were apparently they didn't even offer a first-round pick for Matthew Stafford. They offered the Lions what they offered for Wentz, which is like maybe it's a first-rounder, but maybe it's a second-rounder. And now then they got Carson Wentz, and the Rams got Matthew Stafford, and the rest is history. But the Colts were probably a better team top to bottom than the Rams last year, but they had Carson Wentz. This year, instead of going for Deshaun Watson, fine. Having scruples is an important thing. They didn't go after Russell Wilson. They didn't push the chips all in on him. They don't draft quarterbacks highly. They they dip their toes in around the 5th or 6th round. They went after Matt Ryan, and I'll be honest, Matt Ryan looks many, many, many times worse than people who were drafted around the same time as him, like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, and especially Tom Brady. He looks like ass. He sucks. They have Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the NFL, but he's largely been a disappointment. Running the ball down people's throats only works if the running back's healthy, the offensive line is healthy, and they kind of don't expect it. Well, with Carson Wentz, you have to play the deep ball because he's got a great arm. He just makes weird decisions. Like, if you could just erase 1 quarter per game of Carson Wentz, he'd be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He just has, like, everything going wrong. So the Colts issue right now, what's going on in Colt land, is that the owner, who is incredibly involved and is one of those guys that really likes to win, he's a really good owner to work for, but I doubt he's a good owner to deal with when times are tough. So now the GM is like, hey, dude, why the fuck have you been so cheap? And this guy has had his ass kissed by national media because it appears like he knows what he's doing, but really he just got lucky in one draft. In one draft, he drafted the best offensive guard like we've ever seen at like 5 or 6 overall or something, which is a very easy pick to make, which, by the way, Quentin Nelson has not been the same since his foot surgery. I'm going to keep an eye on that. He's a different dude. You just give him a year off or something. And then he also gets a lot of credit for drafting Darius, formerly Darius, but now Shaq or Shaquille Leonard, who is the best middle linebacker in football, arguably top 2 probably. And it makes him like, we're so smart. Like, dude, you didn't trade for Stafford. You won't draft a quarterback, and now you got Matt Ryan. And the fans are like, what the fuck? And the coach, who had been credited as one of the guys, one of the better coaches in the NFL, well, at least we got this guy, has been kind of hiding behind this excuse that his first year, Andrew Luck retired in the preseason. Well, that was like 4 years ago. You haven't been prepared, and like you went with Jacoby Brissett, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. What are you doing? This coach, along with 2 other previous coaches, I believe it's literally been like 12 years since the Colts have won a game in Jacksonville. Last year, they needed to win in Week 18 to go to the playoffs, and Jacksonville beat the shit out of them. And Jacksonville, by beating the Colts, was theoretically gifting the first overall pick to the Detroit Lions. They didn't care. They dominated the Colts, and now they are 1-3, heading on the road to Denver. Denver's got their own demons. They got Russell Wilson. It's not working out. Nathaniel Hackett, the quarterback coach from the Packers, who is in the Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan coaching tree, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. They hired a guy to tell him what to do in in-game situations, and they still don't know what to do, and Russell Wilson was an MVP. He blows. He sucks so bad, and now the running back that they were really excited for, turns out he tore his ACL and some other tendon muscle thing near his knee that I don't understand, but he needs ACL surgery. He'll be out for at least a year. So this is a game where, if you're like me, and occasionally I love blowouts. I like when favorites get blown out on the road and watch like the crowd be like, haha, we're better than you thought we were. And I love when there's a mess and it just keeps getting worse. Like, I don't like watching hurricanes destroy houses anymore. Because when I was a kid, I had a fascination with hurricanes, and now I understand that those are real people. But I love when professional sports teams just piss down their leg. It's a sick fascination of mine. So tonight, the story is going to be, which one of you is getting fucking fired? And I genuinely believe, because it's Thursday Night Football, you've got the mini bye for the Colts. If the Colts lose this game, Frank Reich will be fired. He will not be the coach next week. I genuinely believe that. And you know what else? I think the GM will be fired too. And I think it's more his fault, because that guy, the Colts have gotten a lot of credit for being smart, but really they're just cheap. They are just cheap. Let's look at the gambling lines, and we'll get you out of here. That's the preview of Thursday Night Football. This is the first time I've done like a deep dive preview. Maybe we'll do more of that. I don't know. The line is that the Broncos are favored by 3 or 3.5, depending on where you go. That matters a lot. Never, ever, ever. I hate betting without the hook. When the hook is the 0.5 points, because if the Broncos win by 3, it's a push. Right? It's a tie. You get your money back. So I like the Broncos minus 3.5. I think they're going to win by a touchdown or 2. They have better players. They're better at football. The Colts do have some good guys: Quentin Nelson, DeForest Buckner. They've got some nice receivers, but it's not the same thing. The Broncos are significantly better at the majority of positions. Now, this is an important thing. On primetime games, especially at night, on short weeks, the under always hits, it seems like. The under's like 60-70% right now on primetime games. The over-under in this game is 42.5. That would mean what, 21-21? Right? I thought we haven't played this game yet this year. So 3.5. So Vegas thinks that the Colts are going to win in the neighborhood of 23-17. Did I get that? 23-17, 42. Damn it. No, 24-17. Nope, that's not it at all. This is so much fun. It's going to be 20-24, 19-23. Yes, 19-23. Oh my God, that's not a score that will happen. But that's what that's around what they're predicting. I think that's true. I mean, the Colts scoring 2 or 3 touchdowns makes no sense. Their running back is hurt as well. He's got a high ankle sprain, which is not as bad as an ACL, but it's something that you have to play through. So the under points, I love the under 42.5. I also love Matt Ryan under 230 pass yards. I think they're going to try to force the run, and if they pass, the Broncos have an excellent pass defense, led, of course, by Patrick Surtain, the second-year player in that crazy historic draft class from last year, with Penei Sewell, and Jamar Chase, and Waddle, and Micah Parsons. It was just a filthy draft class last year. Under 42.5. Matt Ryan under 230 and Denver -3. That's what I like. And that's what I would bet on. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Colts might win this game and Denver might be the city that burns all the way to the ground. Back and better than ever tomorrow morning. We're previewing college football, previewing professional football, and making fun of baseball, I would imagine, because the playoffs, I think, start next week. I think the playoffs start next week. See you then.